one. Your heart beats one. This heart beats one. Our hearts beat as one.
Blessings and welcome to One Heart TV, where our hearts beat as one. Thanks for being here. This is Johanna One Heart, your guide, and I'm so grateful to be here on this Love Month, introducing the Bhakti path a bit today. We've talked about it on our show before. It's deep tradition close to my heart, where we can open our hearts to mantra and song and find our connection with spirit and our internal knowledge, or capital S self. So One Heart TV features, as you know, consciousness expanding interviews with luminaries to heal the world, connect with artists and healers from around the globe about how to create your ideal life, share practices, music, and virtual community to inform a new way of being. Oh, it's such a special day today. I have some really exciting guests. One of my original teachers of the Bhakti Yoga path, Krishna, has joined me with his beautiful and empowered female chantress, Nina Rao, manager, who is just so beautiful in her own right. And we're going to be chatting about all of these things today, Bhakti Yoga, and how we open our hearts during times of uncertainty. And so I'd like to tune in a little bit about what's going on for me this week. It's been such a really incredible, wonderful opportunity to open the heart waves this week, as I've released a single with Mikey Pauker in the sacred language of Hebrew. And it's a vibrational language, much like Sanskrit, that we have talked about before. And I want to share just a little clip of the YouTube video that's coming out tomorrow, the music video for Help Us Love. It's a prayer to help us love our neighbors as we love ourselves during this time. It's so important. And we wrote it 2 years ago, as I had asked him, because he came from a Jewish background, and was really steeped in this path, to co-write a song about that and rewire some ancestral healing that needed to happen between all people during this time. So here is that video for you to check out. Help Us Love. It's going on YouTube tomorrow.
Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Help us love, love, love. Oh,
So that's coming out tomorrow at my YouTube channel, Johanna One Heart. You can join us for that drop and check it out on Spotify. It is live right now. Help Us Love. And also this week, there's a really exciting event on Sunday. It's called Mantra Sangha One Heart Zoom Party, February 21st. We'll have Krishna Das, Nina Rao, myself, one of my beautiful teachers, Gina Salah, my producer, Ben Leinbach, Kamini Natharajan. Again, we'll have Nina Rao chanting for us, who's here today. Such a beautiful event. I'm really excited. So please join us as we support the education and survival of children in Nepal during COVID-19 through Matrata Nepal Foundation. We also put together a music video this year called Mantra Sangha Health and Healing that supported that survival. And it was a mantra from Sri Shakti Amma that featured Nina and KD and 24 Kirtan and Bhakti artists of this devotional path. And so we'll share that at the end of today's show. So without further ado, let's just tune in together. Drop into your seat, drop into your breath. Feel your heartbeat. Feel the earth beneath you. And take a deep breath. And exhale. Let go. Just a little sound goes a long way. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Krishna Das, also known as KD, with a remarkably soulful voice that touches the deepest chord of even the most casual listener. Krishna Das, known casually as friends, family, and everyone else as simply KD, has been known to be called yoga's rock star. He's taken call and response chanting of yoga out of yoga centers and into concert halls, becoming a worldwide icon and the best-selling Western chant artist of all time. His album Live Ananda, released January 2012, was nominated for a Grammy in the Best New Age Album category. It's such an honor to have Krishna Das here today. I just want to welcome him before I welcome in Nina. Hi, Katie. How are you today?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm so glad that you're here. I'm doing better now that we're chatting about the deepest practice closest to my heart. Thank you so much for being here. We'll tune in with some questions in a little bit, but is there anything you'd like to offer now that you've arrived here?
Let's be here now.
Hey, that sounds like the famous words of one of my other original teachers, Ram Dass, who I got to study with you and him at Brighton Bush Hot Springs in Oregon in the 1990s, I believe. So,
wow. Yeah.
So thanks for quoting him. Rest in peace, that dear teacher, illuminating the darkest places, as the guru does. So thanks, KD. Now I'm going to introduce some of Kirtan's most powerful female voice coming up at you today. This is Nina Rao. Nina Rao learned traditional chant bhajans from her grandfather in a village in South India when she was 9 years old. The chants quietly stayed with her until she discovered chanting with Krishna Das in New York in 1996. Sounds like about the time that I learned a little bit from him, huh?
I think you were much younger then, though.
I think I was maybe just a teenager at that time,
Right.
Not to date myself, but I am quite young and very grateful to have found this path at an early age. So back in the 90s, she began to rediscover this chanting with Krishna Das in New York. And for many years, Nina has been Krishna Das's business manager and accompanies him musically as well. And she has 3 albums of mantra music. In 2007, she recorded the track Nina Chalisa on Krishna Das's CD Flow of Grace, which is a beautiful chant album that is all about the Hanuman Chalisa, and that's 40 verses in Sanskrit, and it's been close to my heart as well. And she's also had her debut album, Antarayami, Knower of All Hearts, August. I did this last time. I sing Sanskrit all the time. It's so funny. Yeah, and then in 2013, she released Anubhav. And Nina regularly leads kirtans, workshops, and retreats at her home in Brooklyn, New York, and beyond. So it's so great. I'm so grateful to have a female presence here, and such a powerful one at that. Nina, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Johanna.
Yeah.
Antaryami.
Thank you. Antaryami. In Sanskrit, we don't say the R like that, right? It's one of the lessons I've learned.
Yeah.
Not great. So, okay. Well, so come on in, Krishna Das. Let's have a party. All right. So I was actually thinking about how you two met and how this came about and before this interview. And so I was so grateful to be reminded that really, Nina, what was that like for you when you met KD? Were you in the audience and you heard him chanting? What brought you back to the practice, so to speak, from growing up so steeped in that practice?
Well, first I'll say that I really wasn't steeped in the practice. I did chant with my grandfather when I was very young, and I certainly had an experience, a very deep experience. I remember it that way.
Sorry about
Oh,
that.
we are? Okay. And but we didn't chant for a lot of my the years that I grew up, and even as a young adult. But I did, when I moved to New York, I started taking yoga classes. And my yoga teacher would play certain chant albums during the yoga classes. And I remembered liking hearing the sound of it very much and remembering what it felt like to hear those chants. And I ended up going to a yoga retreat with my teacher, Kachi. And Krishnadas was scheduled to lead the satsang at night. And I had no idea what satsang was. And I was all poised to leave the room through the back door before, soon after he started, and just feign needing sleep or something. But before he came in, there was a little photograph on the side table of Maharaji named Karoli Baba and Hanumanji with a little candle. And that really I remember that catching my attention. And then Krishnadas walked in the room. And contrary to my thought of him being a failed Indian musician, he ended up being a guy in black sweatpants and a black t-shirt.
He was a failed Western musician.
And then his friend had a drum. So I was convinced I was going to leave. But he sat down, and in the way that he's continued to do ever since then, he closed his eyes and started to sing. And as soon as I heard the first Shri Ram, I don't know where I went, because 3 hours later, I hadn't left the room. I had moved from the back of the room to sit right in front of him. So since then, we became friends at the retreat. We got time to have some meals together. And I had a very heart-opening experience hearing him chant, and I couldn't understand it. And he helped me by talking about how I was feeling the presence of his guru, Neem Karoli Baba, through the chanting, and proceeded then to give me many books. Whatever books were available at the time about Maharaji, and I never stopped chanting with him since then, basically.
Wow. So
far. So far. Life is long, right? Wow, that's a beautiful story. I just think it just so much to how this practice awakens the heart, and also it cultivates connections between human beings, and it cultivates this heart connection that's beyond romantic love. Since we're in Valentine's Day month, I'm going to speak to that there's so much opportunity for love that's beyond the beyond. And I just also love all of the stories that I've heard Krishna Das talk about his guru. And so I thought that was just a really beautiful kind of pathway into that space, and to ask Krishna Das, I know that you struggled after losing your guru, and Neem Karoli Baba was very close to your heart and very close to all of our hearts that kind of trickled down from your practice here in the United States. We kind of call you, sorry, I don't know if anyone has told you, but behind your back, they're calling you Grandpa Kirtan.
Grandpa's Kirtan?
Your Grandpa Kirtan, because Grandpa you know, you're like your father, or you're the father Kirtan. Like we all get to learn it in some way, like because we're here in the West, there's less access to more traditional chanting, and somehow you become this quote unquote rock star. And I know you've told me not to say that in previous interviews, because you're a very humble servant, much like
very humble.
But can you tell us one of those stories about your relationship with your guru and awakening to that spiritual divine love of the Bhakti Yoga path?
Well, when I met Maharaji, I felt that I had come home for the first time in my life, that I was home. And it was a very surprising feeling. It wasn't somewhere else. It wasn't coming from someone else. It was inside of me. And it was me just being so at ease and so open and relaxed and present and full. And of course, that actually happened before I met him physically. It first happened to me when I met Ram Dass for the first time after he'd come back from India. And so then I went to India to be with Maharaji about 1.5 years after meeting Ram Dass. And the thing is that love can't be coerced. Yeah. Real love, it can't be manipulated, or it can't really be faked either. And it doesn't come from the outside. Maharaji never wanted us to be anything other than we are. He loved us as we are, loves us as we are. He never tried to change us. He never made us wear white holy clothes, and he never tried to. He allowed us to be ourselves, and that was incredible. Because a lot of these ashrams and a lot of teachers, they try to mold people in a certain kind of way. And even though on one hand we need a lot of molding, on the other hand, the heart won't respond to that, really. The heart can only be love. It can't, it's not a verb. It's your own true nature. So being with Maharaji, he allowed us into that room that love lives, and that room is in ourselves. So when he left the body, it was very hard for me because I had been using his presence, his physical presence, as a button to push to enter that room. But after that was not available, it took me a long time to recognize that, I had to find it in myself. And in order to do that, I had to start working with my stuff. I had to deal with the shadows of my own heart. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to move more deeply in myself. So the chanting, works in two ways. It actually moves you deeper into yourself, and also because it deepens your center of gravity, so to speak, it gradually allows you to release all those stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and the way we judge ourselves and limit ourselves and think about ourselves all the time. So real love is always here. We just have to uncover it. And it's not something that comes and goes, because it's who you are. It's your own true nature, which is right here, your Atma, your soul. And that doesn't come and go. You can't, like it says in the Gita, you can't cut it, you can't wet it, you can't, So to find that place where real love lives within us, this is a practice that will move us in that direction for sure. At the same time, one has to learn to be honest with oneself about one's issues and one's desires, and be honest with oneself about what we really want in life, what we want to do, how we want to be here, and how to become a good human being. It's all about that. It's not about feeling a little temporary hit, a little bliss in the corner of your room, and then you go out and kick the dog. It's learning how to be a good human being. And that takes a lot of practice. It's not so easy because we weren't trained that way from our earliest time in the body. So.
That's such a beautiful, beautiful explanation of Bhakti Yoga, that we're awakening to this love, this not kicking the dog, so to speak, energy, the opposite of that. I just love how funny you are in the way that you describe the practice, and you're able to bring in these jokes that are totally unexpected. And I think that that's really important with spiritual practice, that we aren't too serious the whole time, that we're able to keep it light and have fun. And in when I've been to your Dharma talks, I noticed that you crack these jokes a lot to keep it light and in spirit of the heart. So thanks for that.
If you don't have a sense of humor, you ain't going to make it. Yeah.
Amen to that. Yeah. And I love how you spoke also to the intention behind the chanting. If we're in the room in the corner and we're just chanting and then we go out and have that hit and we're out high and we kick the dog, it doesn't do any good. So how do we keep that chanting practice going within at all times, or whatever the practice is that's serving our highest good? It's so important. And I know that there's lots of viewers who have different practices, and it's perfect. Whatever brings you to your center. Nina, I'd like to ask you a similar question. I like how Krishna Das brought in the topic of what Bhakti Yoga does for you. You know, through that conversation about his guru, he was able to say, this is what the benefits of the practice are for me. And I last saw the two of you actually when at least the West Coast was on fire in September, and it looked like the whole world was kind of metaphorically on fire. And so I wanted to ask both of you, really, can each of you tell me the benefits of the Bhakti Yoga practice as it translates to trying times like this, as you're in your home for longer and the world is maybe getting better in some ways, but we just really don't know. There's so many question marks, so much uncertainty. Does the practice help you rest in that uncertainty, or what does it do for you, this Bhakti Yoga practice? I'd like to start with Nina.
I mean, as I'm thinking of your question, I'd say that as I continue to do practice, I mean, the way in which you do practice, it already starts to guide how you start to think about things also, which is, say we take chanting, for example, and the simplicity of the practice, which is coming back to the mantra all the time and recognizing that while the thoughts might come and go, that does not have to take over your practice time. And the more we do the practice and the more we allow ourselves to come back to the chanting, that the benefit of that actually also can carry over into your daily life in the way you interact with other people as well. You know, in terms of how we react to situations or some you know, anything that could be happening to us at the time. But in terms of just Bhakti Yoga, for me, I think I understand that I have a devotional nature, and I think probably everybody does. We just choose to be devoted to what we want to be devoted to. So it was always very easy for me to be involved in these type of practices. But more than anything is trying to understand who it is, what it is that I'm being devoted to. And the more I think about it, it's really just understanding the interconnectedness of all beings, you know. And Maharaji, Krishna says this all the time, that Maharaji said, you know, sab ek, it's all one. Siddhima said that to me also in regard to something else, but she also said that. And to really understand what that means, I mean, it's one thing to say it, but to fully understand it and live it is something else. And the practice helps me with that.
I love that. I just recently decided to finally change my name to One Heart because I didn't have any ancestral grabbing onto my last name. It was actually kind of changed by a older grandfather, you know, back. So I just, you know, because my whole life path has been more about unity and knowing that if I hurt my brother or my sister, I'm becoming hurt. You know, I got a degree in diversity education and women's studies and learned a lot about how we can really co-create this new reality through love. And the Bhakti practice has been a way of really slamming that home for me in the ability to move through the world as an example of how we can live together as one. And I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I'm no guru. I know that. But I know that I am a devotee that's in a practice of learning how to humbly serve the heart more vulnerably, and to be able to see anyone from any walk of life or any color, any religion as myself. I guess that circles back to my new single, Help Us Love, that when I'm looking at you and I see you as me, we're all one, and the suffering, it lessens because I can't hurt you, because I'm hurting myself. So I love that perception, especially given what we've been going through as a society this year, this culture. There's been a lot of discrimination and bigotry that's been uncovered, that's been, going on for years and years and years. And I have to say, this Bhakti Yoga practice has been a saving grace for me during this time, to be able to sit and chant and feel my heart beat as one with you and everyone else in the world. Have you been tuning in your practices at home alone to that space of open-hearted connection with other human beings, and having that mantra continue inside as the news comes on and all of these things come on? How does that retraining of that neuropathway work for you? Do your ram-rams come underneath as you're listening to the news, or is it Om Namah Shivaya? Like, what chant is it that comes to you guys during these times? This is just a random question that came to me.
It's nothing special. When you're doing your practice, you're planting seeds, and those seeds will grow on their own, at their own rate. And you can consciously decide to internally repeat your mantra as the day goes on. That's a good practice. But I find it more useful to, when you're doing your practice, all you're doing is noticing that when you're not doing your practice, when your mind pulls you away. And those are the moments where you're really generating that inner magnetism to pull you out of your thoughts and back home into your heart, into your being. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make that horse drink. And you can do your practice, but you can't make your practice work. It's the practice itself that works. There's a lot of, I always say, just do your practice and live your life, and try to be a good human being. And notice when you're getting reactive to things, and then you can calm yourself down and let go. But it's your own heart that's calling you home, and it calls you home in a natural way. It doesn't have to be with any particular mantra or any particular technique. Truly, you're always at home. It's the stuff that pulls us away. So as you go through your day, you just try to pay attention at what's going on. And if you notice that you're being reactive to things, you try to let go. But people get very crazy about these things, and they get very tense and very aggressively tight about these things. And that really comes from self-hatred. You just have to let yourself be. You do your practice and you let yourself be. You don't try to make it happen. It's not going to work that way. All you're going to do is get a big ego about how much practice you think you're doing. Do the practice. When you do it, do it as most sincerely as you can, as wholeheartedly as you can. And then don't worry about it. Don't keep thinking about it and evaluating and judging and spending your whole day just like thinking about yourself. That's just ridiculous. And that's what we all do. We spend our whole days lost in dreamland. So do your practice and let that practice generate the pull to hold you back home, to keep you back home. All the mantras come. There's not one special one that comes. They all come in their own way when they want to. I don't make them happen. They call me. So. And I don't think about myself as much as I used to. That's the other thing. It's just less interesting than it used to be. How do I feel? Who gives a shit? How do I really care so much? Let it go. You just go on doing your thing, because that's all ego stuff. How do I feel? How am I now? This is I really chanted well this morning. Why isn't it working? Why do I feel so screwed up right now? Yada, yada, yada. Just let it go.
Let it go. I think there's a song about it. But I love that coming home, coming home seems to come up a lot in my songwriting and in my yoga teaching, that's the path. It's, I think another good quote from Ram Dass is, we're all just walking each other home, for this moment. That, we're all just human beings on this plane. What is that? And we're just walking each other home through the foibles and the turmoils of humanity. What does that quote mean to you? That's what it feels like to me. And we're walking each other home to spirit and to the heart, like you just said.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it only looks that way because we're all one already, always. Outside of time, nothing ever happened. But we are locked in time because the mind exists in time. The mind is time. And since we live in that world, we have to do practice. If we didn't identify with that world and lived in ultimate reality, then no problem. But we don't. So people say, what should I do? I say, well, if you think you have a choice to make it, Be you. You have, when I was leaving India for the last time, with Maharaji in the body, I said, what do I do in America? Been walking around in a red dress, barefoot, in India. I don't think that was going to work in New York, So he said, just do what you want. Nobody ever in my life told me to do what I want. Oh, everybody else had some idea what I should do. But my guru told me, do what you want. That put the whole burden on me to find out what it is I want, what I really want, and then how to do it the best way possible. And that's been my life's practice and will continue to be. And I followed that instruction literally for a long time, and it got me into a lot of trouble. I almost died a few times because I had so much self-loathing, so much self-hatred, so much self-destructive tendencies that what I wanted, what I thought I wanted, what I said I wanted, what I felt I wanted wasn't really good for me. But I moved through that. And if I hadn't done those things, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't have learned about life the way, in the little bit that I have. So you find out what you want. Don't, some people think they have to sit down cross-legged and chant mantras in order to be, in order to develop an ego they can like. It's not like that. It's not like that. A personality they could like. So what's their motivation? Self-loathing. What can come out self-loathing but more self-loathing? So don't try to build up new castles of self, small s self, so you can shine them up and look holy. Be you. Find out what that is. Find out what you want to do. And then do it the best way you can.
I love that. Thank you, Katie, for that beautiful instruction to our viewers. And we've been talking so much about practice, and we've been exploring what it does for us. Might I bother you to share a little bit of a sonic journey for us? Just a small taste of what each of you do before our broadcast is completed by our awesome Mantra Sangha release that we're going to share at the end of the music video, and talk a little bit about that after we do this. A little bit of a chant for us?
Sure. Nina, go first, huh?
Yay. Thank you.
I'll just sing a little invocation and then leave it for Krishna Das. This is an invocation to the goddess as auspiciousness. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Shive 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 Narayani Namostute Shive
I said I'm speechless, and I was literally muted at that moment. So that was pretty funny. But thank you for calling in the Divine Feminine. Nina, that was beautiful. Would you like to speak a little bit about that chant and what it does for you and what it might do for one?
It's one verse from a number of verses that actually appear in the Chandipat or Durga Saptashati. So it's all in praise of the goddess. For me, that particular verse helps to look at everything as whatever that might be coming toward us is happening on our behalf. And as we continue to pray for auspiciousness, everything that comes to us might be auspicious. We might feel it that way and benefit from it that way. So that's why I like this verse very much. And Amma Anandadayani is the mother who bestows us with everything we ask for.
I'm really a big fan of the Divine Feminine chants and the goddess. So thank you for sharing that. And let's turn it over to Shiva over here, or Krishna Das, as it may be. But the divine masculine for the chant.
You hear me?
You're a little quiet, KD.
A little quiet?
A little quiet.
Not usually.
And do that switch that we talked about if you haven't already.
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
Can you change your setting, Krishna Das?
That's what I was asking.
What, if I can make it? Oh, I did already, yeah.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Just making sure. Thank you.
Sometimes I have a brain, sometimes I don't. Ram, 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 Sita Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Sita Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Sita Ram, Ram, Ram. 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 Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya 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 Ram. Ram, Ram, Sita Ram, Ram, Ram. Hare Ram, 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 Sita Ram, Ram, Ram. Hare Ram, 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 Sita Ram, Ram, Ram. Hare Ram, 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 Sita Ram, Ram, Ram. Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya 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 Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram. Ram, Ram. Rama 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 Jai Rama 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 Sita Rama 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 Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman Karuna Sagar Kripanidhan Jai Siya Ram Jai Baba Hanuman Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
Can everyone feel the deliciousness of the silence? That's one of my favorite parts of the Bhakti Yoga, that the sound that the silence leaves behind just feels like the heart space. It just sounds like the heart space is just open wide, you know, like the inside of a seashell or something magical like that. At least that's my experience. Thank you, KD, I love the Hanuman Chalisa, and I love your Flow of Grace CD. I learned the Hanuman Chalisa with you in my home, as a lot of our Western people did who have learned it. So thank you. And Nina too. So thank you for that offering. It's such a beautiful, it's, for those of you who don't know, it's, how many tracks of the Hanuman Chalisa do you have on there?
Like 6 maybe, 5 or 6.
Yeah, and then there's the ring song, which is another favorite, which is also on there.
Yeah, Nina didn't tell you, but I had to trick
Where
her.
did you get that ring? That one?
Yeah.
Nina didn't tell you, but I had to trick her into singing that, you know.
Oh.
I said, okay, let's sing one together. So we got set up, and then I didn't sit there, and I just had her sing. We just started, and so she had to sing.
Well, it's a longer story, which you may not have time to hear, but he went through the motions of everything. He said, I'm going to sing it. Show me how to play the harmonium.
There was this melody she had, right? It was your melody.
Yeah, it was my melody. And then
Nice.
so he came all the way to my house in Massachusetts and recorded it on a tape recorder and whatever we did in those days. And then I came to New York for the recording, and he said, and 2 days before he said, no, we'll sing it as a duet. So practice, because I wasn't going to sing it. He was going to sing it. And then when we got into the studio, he literally got up from his place where he was actually recording before and went and sat with the choir, and he said, okay, now you sing. And so that was how it happened at the very last minute.
What a gift. What a gift for you, KD, to have her beautiful voice on your project. I'm going to turn it around because everyone would assume something else. But seriously, just because you're the rock star or whatever. But Nina, you have such a beautiful heart and presence and voice. And I do love that track. So thanks for whatever trickery that you did, KD. Speaking of beautiful tracks, I was looking through our comments, and Seaweed Hero says 1 heart and 1 track heart at noon. 1 heart and 1 track heart, reference to one of another amazing album.
Yeah, that was my first CD, and nobody got the joke, you know. Well,
I love it.
Yeah.
1 track. I mean, like an 8 track?
No, it's like when you have a 1-track mind.
A 1-track mind.
Yeah, so I said perfect. 1-track heart.
Okay.
Everybody went, oh, really? I was like, what? Okay.
He's a joker. I love it. Well, thank you for being with me. I want to close our time together by asking each of you if you have any upcoming offerings you'd like to chat about before we share the Mantra Sangha official music video and all of that.
Krishna's.
Any offerings?
I have to remind him.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll wake up tomorrow. That's my offering.
Well, you know that he sings
like
every Thursday night. Krishnadas sings every Thursday night. It's a free offering on YouTube. It's on his website. It's pretty much everywhere, 7 o'clock New York time. He's been doing that almost a year. It'll be coming upon a year very soon, since we first started in quarantine. He also has a chai and chat, which is very fun, on Saturday, where people can get to be together in a virtual meeting and ask questions, and he gives the responses, tells stories. It's not singing, but more like a satsang together. And another thing we're going to do at the end of this month, I don't know if you have time, but Krishnadas does a lot of things. So on the 27th of February, we're screening a very beautiful film called Windfall of Grace, which is a film made by a lovely young woman named Japna from India. And she's basically telling the story of Maharaji, Neem Karoli Baba. It's a very difficult thing to do in film with just the clips of what we have, which is not much, of Maharaji from that time, but incredible interviews from devotees everywhere. So it's really beautiful, and that's on the 27th of February. It's free. So all this stuff is on KD's website. And for me, since you were talking about Divine Feminine, one of the things I do every month is a program with Chandra Easton. We do it with Tibet House. And we do practices, the Tibetan tradition, which Chandra leads, and I do chanting for the goddess. So that's coming up on the 21st of February. And there's a women's satsang on the 21st of February from Ram Das's Love Serve Remember organization. All that's happening also. Yeah.
Wow, I wish I wasn't busy with the festival.
You will be busy with it.
I will be busy, but after hearing that offerings list, I want to tune in more with you guys. I do get on Facebook Live here and there and give a shout out, but with all of your followers, I doubt you hear me. So I'm glad to have you in real time here today. So we got to sing together for our first time this September, and I just wanted to give a little background. Mantra Sangha Health and Healing official music video. You can check it out on YouTube. We're going to share it in a moment here, but it was a project, like I said earlier, to support children in Nepal through Matrada Nepal Foundation. And it was a mantra from Sri Shakti Amma to remove all disease. And I found it and I reached out to all my teachers, and I just wanted to say, KD, I am so grateful for you in specific. When I reached out to you, you said, how's the translation? How's the pronunciation? And, and this is why I hang out with the best, and why I keep coming back for more, learning, is because it's so important to honor tradition. And I wanted to thank you for being a part of that service project, and also for supporting it coming out in its best possible, most authentic fashion, because that's what a good teacher does. We both accidentally did the Indian head bobble. We've been singing kirtan too long. It's very nice. So I'm going to share that music video, but first I'm actually going to share a couple of things that I have going on myself. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the video. So coming up, I am going to be very busy as well. I've got a few offerings at my website that you can check out. I offer coaching for your soul's voice, private coaching and small groups. And Lullaby Yoga is my trademarked brand of yoga, restorative yoga with live healing, mantra music, and sound, and all of these wonderful things. You can check out johannasings.com for all of that. And join me every other Tuesday at noon Pacific Standard Time for One Heart TV. And I'm just so thankful that we got to spend this time together in community today. And I had a sound thing. Sorry about that. So thank you for being here. It was so great to be in conversation and community. And this is the thing that I've been missing so much in this last year. Bless you. Namaste.
Namaste, namaste. Ram Ram.
Thank you, Jana.
Ram Ram. Bless you too. We'll see you soon in real time. Mantra Sangha official music video. You can check it out right now. It's going to take me a minute to set up here. Oh, no, actually, I am having sound issues. Oh, here we go. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys, I might just give it one more try here. Sorry about that. If you've got time to stick around, you're welcome to. And I apologize for any inconvenience here. that you joined an exploration point. I forgot to ask you, Kama. Can you share it to your Facebook page and Krishna Das's page while this video is going? Question mark. Thank you. Text message I just emailed her. Devotee.
Sarvarogam Nasi Nasi Om Krim Mahakali Sarvarogam Nasi Nasi Om Krim
Oh my God.
Mahakali Sarvarogam